was that?
Alright, so I wanted a ring for inch thick ring. There's less waste this way, I guess. So anyway, I'm going to weld these two halves together. I got some offcuts. And we'll weld that on there for the ears. And we'll machine our happy little butts away. A big bevel here, a little bevel here. And this is where the starter motor on the Kubota is going to end up. So what I'm going to do is just weld it together, put it in the lathe, turn it around, and then after that, weld that on the outside of the edge of there, and then weld that chunk on the outside of over there. We'll cut it roughly here somewhere. And then this will get machined away for the starter motor. Out of gas in the big welder, so I'll just hook it to the lower for now. Alright, so this old beast is still a hell of a good welder, but it's about as old as I am. And it's a 600 amp 3-phase MIG. So we run 45 thousandths wire on it. And if I had to weld 1-inch plate, it's not even thinking about it. I didn't think this out. So nearly every cutter I got is for cutting left to right. I didn't think about the fact that it was going to be that way. So the only cutter I got for going right to left is a little damn thing. I could have sworn I had more, but I think what I'm going to have to do is just weld that to a piece of bar stock, because otherwise it's not going to reach. Alright, so when you don't have, you just make do, I guess. And this is going to have to do for today. This thing's pretty much useless anyway, because the Allen head bolt that holds the insert in is stripped out, so as long as it gets this made, that's all I give a damn about. Alright, so this big old beast is another one of my auction grabs. Got it for $100. No motor, no chuck. I brought it back, put new bearings in it, cleaned it all up, painted it. Made a faceplate for the back. Chuck up at eBay. Another 10-horse motor on it. Runs like a freaking dream. I think I have maybe $1,000 in it now. Got a little bit more to clean it up, but it's getting a pretty nice finish, you know. For dry cutting it, an old machine and a worn out insert, it'll work. So this stuff is all numbered somewhere. There you go, 3 dots, 3 on there. So all you gotta do is make sure you put 1 on 1, 2 on 2, and 3 on 3, and you're good to go. Thank you for your service. Enjoy your retirement. Alright, so we're going to want a little spacer behind the back of this so that we don't hit the jaw when we're boring it. I think I made this boring bar about 1992. Alright, so how you set these old things is you break that set screw there loose, and then you just crank out the threaded rod, and once your lever drops out, there you go. You've now set your limit. Crank that back down, and they will sit there and run all day. Alright, she's squawking a little bit, which makes me think that it's just a little too low. So when you're boring, you want to be above center. When you're turning on the outside, you want to be below center. And I think I'm probably right on center. Whatever it is, I don't think I'm high enough. So we'll just stick a piece of 3/16 under there and raise it. That's not a bad. Starting to get into not a complete cut, but a lot more cut, so slowed her down again. Okay, that'll do. There's a little bit of non-clean up there, but whatever. It's on the inside of a adapter. So we'll do just fine. Alright, so we're going to weld that one on there. And this is for the one stray lug on the transmission that kicks out. And then this one here, we're going to weld in here. And this one is for where the starter motor is on the Kubota. And that's why we never welded this one up solid, because this is actually going to get machined out into a circle here, so I wasn't going to waste my time. All I did was get that strong enough to turn it. So it's about a 3/4 inch in one pass. This is about shot. So we're gonna have to take the grinder to it. We're gonna just, damn shit. Might be easier just to pop the cover off of it. I don't know. Alright, we'll just take the grinder to it and cut the edge off a bit. Alright, so I've got the ring faced off now, at least anyway. I can throw this in and I put little holes in it, and then after I've got the profile of the ears cut on both sides and the opening here for the starter, I'll surface grind it just to make sure that it's absolutely parallel. So what I got to do here is put a mark just roughly where the weld mark is at. Now, I know that this one with the non-cleanup is the one that's only partially welded, and this is the one where the dowel is. The dowel actually ends up down around here somewhere. But I have to angle this in the mill according to how the drawing is on the computer. So I'll have to figure out roughly what that angle is going to be. Alright, so that's close enough. It's going to be about 2 3/4 inches higher here than here. That's close enough. This is going to get machined off, and then there's just going to be one hole here. This is going to get machined down a bit, and then there'll be an opening here, and that's just to clear the back of the starter motor. Alright, so I've got to find the center of this, and you know, I can find the center this way, from this point here to here, and then I can come in from here to here. So getting the center on the x-axis is going to be okay. But I won't be able to go from this quadrant to this quadrant. So if I come over here and over to here, as long as I'm away from this area that's not cleaned up, that's still going to find me the center, because half of the, you know, half of that distance from there to there is still the same as half the distance from here to here. So I was machining this out, and then I realized that I wasn't going to have room after I did this for the clamp to hold it. So I'm going to machine this outside profile, then do the inside. Alright, so I just changed the end nose here. You can see where the hole is, where the weld is, and ended up smoking the tube seal end mill, so I just stuck a carbide one in there. Alright, so now we'll work on that side over there and then getting the holes in it. That's what you call getting close. Man, I could have got that any closer if I tried. That's profiled. This is the air where the starter motor was on the Jeep Tranny. So I gotta drill and tap that one, and then the rest of them are through holes because they go into the other plate that's mounted to the engine. But for now, it's coffee break. Alright, this one I'm going to need 6 hands. That's just not wanting to bite. It's not a left-hand thread, is it? That's left. All right. Alright, okay, so there's that part of the adapter. Alright, so the plate that will be bolted on the back of here is next. So that will bolt on there or something around there, like that. Okay, so this is the plate that's going to go to the block and in between that ring. And it's just not worth the hassle of trying to get this in the machine because it's above the capacity of my machine. I'd have to, I can get all of this and I can get to the holes, but I can't get the outside profile because it's just beyond the travel of the machine. So what I can just do is I can take this down and have them plasma cut it and then leave me all the holes undersize, and then we'll just open the holes up. These through holes, which go to the block, they can just be done oversized, you know, 20 thousandths bigger. So the dowels, we'll leave them small, we'll leave the starter small, and we'll leave all of these small so that we can tap them. So let's take this down to Bloomington and have Heritage cut it. Okay, so there we go. So I actually surface ground this last night just to get the warpage from the plasma cutting out of it, and you can see, you know, it warped it just a little bit. So I took it just 0.02 off of it, and it worked out pretty good. Just a little off, but it measures right now, so it's nice and parallel. So let's just try our luck, see how it fits. Okay, so there's our plate, and last night I surface ground it just to get the warpage from the cutting out of it. So I took 0.02 off of it, and it was a little humped up in the center, but now she's nice and parallel. Alright. We're hitting just here, just a little bit. So it looks like we're going to have to take about 50 thousandths or so off the edge of there. But other than that, looks good. It's going to be the only spot that I got to worry about. It's right there. So if I made this just a little smaller, she would have dropped right on. These are just some scrap plates, and all there is just a sacrificial plate that stops me from machining into the table. Okay, so how are we going to do this? That's going to be it's going to have to go this way. These are fine. So I actually only need from there up. So that will keep it in the capacity of the machine. So I'll put that hole under that dowel. Like that. So now what I'll have to do is do some pinpointing. Pick off the center of this, a couple of these holes, and then take that information of how it's sitting in the machine, and then take it and then put it in the computer, and then rotate the drawing in the computer to match how this is sitting in the machine. And then from there I can get all of the information I need to get this to sit right. I'm not sure how much this is going to show up on the camera here, but if you can kind of see it, the holes are actually not round. That's the blowout from the plasma. So that's why I didn't have them just cut this stuff to size. So like these ones here, I'm not worried about it because they're just a through hole to bolt to the engine. But the dowels and the stuff that's going to be threaded, that's why we left everything undersized. And then this is roughly just where it was touching that thing, so we'll just skim that off of there. Alright, so like I said, these holes are not perfectly round and they cut, so we're just going to have to do our best guess on the centers of all this stuff. Alright, so that's the center of the opening for the starter. I'll pick off this point here and probably this one over here just to get a bigger spread. And then we'll write down these dimensions and then add that all into the computer. fighting a bone infection today, so this kind of hurts like hell to bend over. Once in a while, the screws in my bone don't like each other and they start fighting. I end up with an infection in the bone. And today's that day. X is 11.4125. 4125. Y is minus 2.55. Minus 2.5565. Alright, so now we've got that hole. So we got that as our center right now. That hole. And then that hole. And then what we'll do is we'll now draw those 3 holes on the computer, figure out our angle in relation to the drawing, rotate the drawing to reflect that, and then we'll use that as our datum and then do all of our holes.